So I've really been enjoying making these YouTube videos for you, and I really appreciate that everybody's been watching. But for those that create content, they know that it generates a lot of data. And I've already filled up all the hard drives on my workstation as well as quite a few external USB drives, and I need a better method or solution for storing data. So today we'll be looking at QNAPs TS-H973AX. It's a NAS device, as well as one of their switches and a network card so that we can create an all QNAP environment for storing and transferring data to your workstations. Or if you're an independent artist or a small boutique facility, well, a small NAS device like this offer up the speed and the capacity to fit into your environment. Hi everyone, I'm Mike from the Media Man Studio Review, and on our channel we like to bridge that gap between the creative content and the technical requirements. I've worked for almost 25 years for some really large studios, but today's video is not targeted at the large studios. It's targeted at the smaller boutique studios or independent artists that need a storage solution. So today we'll be taking a closer look at one of QNAP's latest NASs. It's the TS-H973AX. It's generally quite a unique device and really targeted, I feel, at independent artists and the smaller boutique environments. In the future, I will be reviewing some of QNAP's larger capacity and even faster storage that will be able to supply solutions to meet any size studio or artist needs. So before I get too far into the video, I'd like to again thank everybody for watching my channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. It really does make a difference for when people are searching YouTube. I'm gonna show up in the search engine a lot more. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification so that you can be notified when I do release new videos. And stick around to the end of the video because I will be showing you some benchmarks that I did with this and using Adobe Premiere to show you how this thing can actually edit 4 and 8K in multiple streams, off an external box through an Ethernet connection that is attached to my computer. As I have quickly outgrown the capacity of both my internal storage in my workstation as well as all of the drives that I bought, the external USB drives. And I'm constantly swapping out and removing drives from my machine and trying to keep track of my projects. But what I really need is something with a large capacity, but is also fast enough to deliver the data to my computer that I need. So this is where a NAS comes in, and it helps solve all of these solutions. You can connect the NAS with an Ethernet cable and a switch and have all of your workstations connect to that same switch and everybody have access to the same data. And a NAS can supply storage to your network environment from as small as a few terabytes up to petabytes of storage space. So the NAS itself simply shows up on your computer as a mounted device or a mounted hard drive. And your computer itself thinks that it's just a large network storage or a large pool of data that it can access at any time. Historically, NASs have usually been an enterprise class device. It was extremely expensive, and if you wanted to get speed as well as capacity, it came at a very high cost. With the advancement of network speeds and the price point of 10 gig and 25 gig networking becoming more affordable, independent artists and boutique studios can now have access to a NAS storage that's both super fast and can create a large data pool that's required for today's creative environments. So today we'll be taking a closer look at one of QNAP's latest NASs. It is the TS-H973AX, and I will be combining this with the QSW-M1208-C network switch. It's an 8-port network switch for 10 gig, as well as using one of QNAP's NIC cards or 10 gig NIC cards for connectivity to the workstation. So this will be using all QNAP equipment to create a shared storage environment. This 9-bay triple-tiered storage architecture of this NAS system supports the QUTS Hero system. It's a ZFS-based file system, as well as the original QTS operating system. Both of the available file systems ensure your data integrity and have support for data compression and near limitless snapshots. And I will explain more about the differences between the two operating systems and file systems more in a future video, as I will be doing a whole series of videos on this QNAP equipment. The TS-H973AX is the first affordable storage file system in its price range that supports 3 different media types. So out of the 9 bays that are in this NAS, 5 of them are your basic 3.5-inch SATA drives. These are a 6 gigabytes of transfer speed. And this one here is a Seagate Exos drive. It's a 4 terabyte, but you can put up to 18 or 20 terabytes or whatever is available currently on the market, which would give you over 100 terabytes of drive space just in these 5 bays alone. So the next 2 drive slots that are in here are these U.2 or 2.5-inch form factors. You can put SSDs in here or these U.2s. U.2s are used for anything that requires a lot of high IOPS or access to the drive, or anything that requires a really high throughput. You can get up to about 4 gigabytes a second through one of these drives. Now these drives are from my friends over at Exascend. They were kind enough to send me over 2 drives so that I could test them out in this unit. And if you'd like, you can also put SSDs in here Or you can use the optional card that comes from QNAP, so you can put M.2 drives in it and then put the M.2 drives into these two slots. And the last two drive slots that are down here at the bottom, these two here, are also a 2.5-inch form factor for your basic SSD SATA 6 gig transfer speeds. You can put any capacity that you want in there, and these will be used for anything that requires a high bandwidth or even high IOPS, or you can use them for cache drives, or like I said, it's a multiple tiered solution, so you can actually tier the different media that's in the NAS itself and combine it all into one very large pool. When using a hybrid storage device like this that offers the 3 different types of media, it's completely transparent to the end user. It just shows up as one large capacity storage pool, but the speed of the storage depends on where you're actually housing it or what folder you're putting it on the file system. And all of the 9 drive bays does feature a key lock mechanism that you can use to lock the drive so that none of the drives get accidentally taken out. There's been a lot of engineering that's gone into this NAS. You can see that when you look at things like the tool-less design for installing the hard drives, as well as the really clean and clear ventilation areas to keep the drives cool, as well as the external power supply. So the power supply for this box is not inside the housing itself. It is an external brick. And some people love and hate that. For me, I really like it. In the future, if you have any kind of problems with your power supply, you don't need to take the case apart to replace it. You can just buy a new power supply and then just plug it straight into the back. It also helps keep the unit cool internally so it doesn't have all that heat from the PSU. The footprint of this device is very small if you're sitting it on your desk. It's an incredibly small, compact form factor, and it measures just 18.2 by 22.4 by 22.4. And this system manages to house a huge capacity of storage that's available to your entire network. It's really just a fraction of a size larger than what they used to have for their just 4 bay NASs that were available a few years ago. This NAS is powered by AMD's Ryzen V1500B. It's a 4-core, 8-thread processor at 2.2 gigahertz. And it comes with either 16 or 32 gigs of RAM. And it also supports ECC RAM, but that is an end user upgrade. So if you wanted to put ECC memory into the operating system itself, you could. The NAS also features one 10 gig Ethernet connection on the back, as well as 2 2.5 gigabyte LAN connection ports for connecting either multiple machines or having multiple connections to your switch. These network connections supply for out-of-the-box support for high-speed network transfers, as well as support for port trunking and failover to help reinforce your network. This unit is also equipped with 2 rear-mounted USB ports. These are 10 gig transfer speed. They're 3.2 Gen 2 ports. Now these can be used to attach an expansion chassis if you wanted to increase the pool of data that you're using, or you could actually attach a second NAS device and use it for a backup or to sync critical data over to. There's also one front-mounted USB port right here with a one-click button. You can use that to copy maybe from an external USB device or transfer files to and from that device, but it is limited to 5 gig transfer speed. So when you're setting up the TS-H973AX, it does offer 2 different operating systems, and you can choose between which one you want at the first startup. And it's a simple GUI wizard that walks you through the entire process of not only setting up the operating system, but also setting up the storage pools and how you're going to tier or design your storage for speed and capacity. It's got a really flexible management system that's built into the storage device itself, which is really comprehensive as far as how you set it up and what your options are, and it walks you through the whole entire process step by step. You can set it up for higher data performance or higher protection depending on what your requirements are for the NAS itself. Stay tuned to the channel because I will be doing a whole series on how you set up the NAS itself, the difference between the 2 operating systems, as well as how you can configure the tiered storage with the different media to fit your creative environment. So let's take a look at some of the pros and cons of this QNAP TS-H973AX. Some of the pros: it does have a 10 gig Ethernet on the back, and it has the 2.5 for failover. It has the triple tiered storage. It's support for VM, so you can install things like Ubuntu and other Linux or Windows virtualization systems right on it. It has the 10 gig USB connections on the back. You know, it is hugely expandable. It has the triple tiered storage. It has 3 different kinds of media. So we have your basic, mechanical SATA drives, U.2 or M.2, depending on what you want to put in there, as well as SSD drives in the bottom. It also has 8 ports of their surveillance camera licenses. So you could actually connect this to your network and use IP cameras throughout your facility and actually have it record to this device. And it comes free with those 8 licenses. There's other software that comes with it as well. There's a huge library of QNAP software that you can download, and most of it is for free. The cons of this device: it does lack an HDMI port. So it would be nice to be able to actually connect the monitor directly up to it in case you had to do any configuring or you wanted to monitor it that way. It doesn't have any expansion slots. So if you wanted to put Wi-Fi into it, you can't. You'd have to do that with an access point through your router or your switch. It only has one 10 gig port. So one 10 gig port is quite nice, but to be able to have more than one 10 gig port or an expansion card so that you can expand that up to maybe, 25G or even 40G network connection, it is lacking that in the back of the device. But, other than that, there's not too many cons. I think it's a fantastic device, and I would recommend it, again, to any independent artist or small creative environment. So before I close out this video, I just wanted to show you some of the performance benchmarks that I've done with this QNAP NAS. It's a TS-H973AX. And to show you that I can completely saturate a 10 gig connection going to one or multiple workstations, and how this NAS actually performs in a program like Adobe Premiere. So I was able to edit off the NAS with both 4 and even 8K video with multiple streams, depending on your codec. So it is really good small NAS device with high capacity storage that you can use in your creative environment. So I'm going to use two programs to benchmark or test out the speed from this QNAP NAS. So this is the Blackmagic Disk Speed Test. It's a pretty popular program that's available on the net, and I've already set the target drive to be my NAS. So once I start the test, you can see that I'm getting write speeds of up to 500 or 600 megabytes a second, and it'll even go up to about 700 megabytes a second. So over on the read side, we're getting fully saturated, almost 1100 megabytes a second that we're getting off that. So here we are, we're over 800 megabytes a second on the right side, and on the read again, almost 1100 megabytes a second. So that's really quick read speeds. We're fully saturating that 10 gig connection. But when we're using a program like Adobe's Premiere, here I have just a simple setup that I've done. I've got 9 4K video tracks going here that I'm playing in the timeline. I can jump anywhere in the timeline and it's updating almost instantaneously. I am setting at full resolution here, and if I hit play, you can see that it's playing back all 9 of those video files. Now, it's not playing back that smoothly, but that is more of an issue with the CPU usage. Here I'm at 100%. So my CPU, my 12-core CPU, is having a bit of a issue playing back 9 4K video files. And if you look down here on the network connection, we're jumping up to 10 or more megabits a second that are coming through, so fully saturating that 10 gig connection. So ultimately, the TS-H973AX is not the first big innovation device from QNAP, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last. But this device, the high capacity that it offers, as well as the high speeds that it offers for smaller boutique studios with a minimal workforce, or for the independent artist, is a great choice to be storing your data and working off maybe one or multiple computers. This is easily my favorite NAS solution that I've looked at for both speed and capacity. So that'll be it for this video. I really appreciate you watching. Again, don't forget to watch the 2 upcoming videos that I'm going to do with all of this. We'll do a complete configuration video, how I set up the entire network storage as well as the network card in the device. I will also be looking at the 2 different file systems that are available, running through the entire installation of both of those. And then in the final video, I am going to do some benchmarking where we use programs like DaVinci's Resolve and Adobe Premiere to see how that will work in your everyday workflow. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.